My very first gymnastics memory is actually my very first level 5 meet. It was in South Bend and my dad took me. And obviously I'm a level 5, so I'm just bouncing around. And I did a squat on in my routine and I fell. And instead of like getting off the bar, I just kept swinging. And I like swung myself back around, did the squat on, and I just remember having the biggest smile at the end because I just felt so accomplished after that bar routine. And my dad, all he remembers is just, he's like, you did so well. You were just a little monkey, like swinging around. And I think that's when he knew that I just absolutely love the sport. It wasn't until 2007 that I really realized I wanted to not only be an elite, but I wanted to be an Olympian. So 2007, they picked the world team. It was my very first year senior. Really, I was kind of a no-name. Like, no one really knew who I was. They knew, I guess they kind of knew of me, but they had no idea anything about me. They had no idea, you know, work ethic. They had no idea I was from Indiana. Once I made the world team, that's when my name kind of got out there. And I was an alternate to the world team, which they decided at Worlds. It was in Germany. And I remember sitting in the stands as an alternate, because we couldn't be on the floor. I remember sitting in the stands thinking, I never want this to happen again. And the only way that's going to be achieved is I'm going to have to work my butt off. Going through like the months that led up to the Olympics, I definitely did not have an easy road. In March of 2008, I tore my meniscus at a meet in Italy. Before that meet, I really felt like I had a chance. I remember flying home and thinking, is it really over? I got the MRI and Dr. Beat goes to perform my surgery and he said, you know, you tore your meniscus, but it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it. And I remember Daryl taking me, you know, by the shoulders, getting in my face and just saying, this is not the end. You will make it and you'll make your dreams come true. And I just remember sitting there like, okay, if you say so. So the Olympic selection, you know, for the USA is it's stressful. I had no idea what to expect. It was my very first Olympic trials. It was probably one of the worst meets I've ever had. It was my very first meet coming back from my injury. I really struggled. And Marta saw something in me, I think. And that's why she let me go to the camps. It was a very intense training camp. I'd been to the ranch probably 100 times by then, so I knew, you know, what the equipment was like. I knew what everything was like, and going into those meets, you could probably hear a pin drop. I mean, every single girl in that gym was just focused, and we all wanted the same thing. We knew when the team was going to get decided, so we all kind of knew what was going to happen there. And after the 2 days of competition, they brought us into where we eat, and there's one couch. And they had us all sit on the couch. And we are sitting there. I mean, I remember just thinking to myself, this is it. This is when I'm about to find out if my dream of making the Olympics is gonna come true. And they went through the order of the names. So there were 6 people. They went through the order in alphabetical order. I'm the last one in alphabetical. I remember I was sitting right next to Alicia, and she said off the 5 names, she says Alicia Sacramone, and I just remember thinking to myself, oh, this is not good. And Alicia started laughing. And I was like, I do not know why you're laughing, but this is not the time for laughter. And she was like, Bridget, you made it. And then Marta said my name. There were so many emotions that went through my body, and everybody around me was just crying. Marta was crying, Kathy Kelly was crying, Steve Rybecki was crying. My mom fell to the floor, her knees just collapsed. And my dad is just like, oh my gosh. It was one of those moments you realize it all paid off. We were so excited, but at the same time, we all realized, we were like, whoa, whoa, we got the Olympics coming up now. It was like, hold up, yay, we made the team, but now it's like, we gotta get back home. We gotta keep training. We got things to do. And every single coach, Mihai, Peter, Chow, Valeri, every single one of them just gave each other huge high fives and huge hugs and just said, let the journey begin. The prelims were that was without a doubt the most intense moment for me. For me individually, prelims, that's where it was. So Sam was doing a 2.5 punch front full, and honestly we had 5 minutes left to go, and everybody was kind of relaxing. We were getting ready to march out. We're just kind of taking it easy, and Sam was like, hey, I need to do another one. And Peter was standing in the corner, and Peter's like, okay, like if you say so. And she took off for her 2.5, great, landed her 2.5, and her ankle just kind of popped. I think I got white, I freaked out for a little bit. I had a freak out moment because I realized, oh, they need me. They really need me. We have 4 people now on floor, and it's 4 up, 4 count now. It was 5 up, 4 count. Now it's 4 up, 4 count. And it was just one of those moments where we all kind of had to come together and realize, and Sam was even in our little huddle, and she even said, do not feel bad for me. I am still here. I'm gonna be the biggest and best cheerleader. That was the moment, I think, when a lot of us, we were like, you know what, you're right. We can do this. We are Team USA. Throw anything at us, we'll work with it. As soon as we walked out into that arena and we saw all the American flags, that's when I kind of relaxed a little bit. And I said, you know what? I've done these routines so many times. It is nothing more than doing another routine. And that mindset, I think, is what helped me, you know, make my routines and help us get into the team finals. It was an incredible moment, prelims, especially for me. You know, I only got to compete vault and team finals, but being able to compete on all 4 at the Olympic Games, it was just like, wow, all right. After it was all over, I was like, great job, guys. It was no worries. And of course, everyone's like, really? I was like, we had it. We were all good. And it was awesome, though. We might have gotten silver, but you know what? We didn't just get silver, we earned silver. You know, getting a medal in the Olympic Games, it's so big. And I know that a lot of people, you know, were like, oh, you guys just got silver. I was like, yeah, we got a silver medal in the Olympics. That group of girls was not just a team, we were a family, we were a sisterhood that, thinking back on it, I don't even know how we managed to become so close, but I know for a fact I wouldn't have been able to get through some of my days without having Alicia by my side, and especially without having Sam by my side, or Sean, or Nastia, or my roommate, Chelsea. Seeing the American flag and hearing the national anthem after the Olympics, you don't really hear them the same. You know, they really touch me as more of a representation of what I was doing at the 08 Games and what I earned for my country and what us 6 girls did for Team USA. I think a lot of people thought that the whole 08 team, we were done, but I think that 2009 was the year for me to say kind of like, booyah, I'm back. 2009 was an incredible year for me. I think I came off of such a high at the Olympic Games, I never really came down. I think I competed more than I'd ever competed in a year. I did the Tyson American Cup, the European Tour. I obviously did visas. After that, I was like, you know what? It's pretty cool. Won visa championships, that's awesome. Now I want to go to Worlds. And I remember before we left for Worlds, it was, I really want this. I really want this. And I remember talking to Marvin and saying, do you think I have a shot? And he was like, you know what? You have surprised me so many times. You will always have a shot. No matter what, you will always have that opportunity in front of you. And after winning World Championships, it was just unreal. Looking back on it, again, it's like, how did I do that? It was the year for me to kind of break out of my shell and as not just be a part of the 2008 Olympic team, but 2009 was the year for me to become more of an individual and show them that I wasn't done just yet. 2010 is when the injuries started happening. You know, my ankles started giving out on me. My shoulder, I tore my pectoral muscle. Who does that? I do. And then in 2011, coming back from, I had bicep tendon surgery. Coming back from that, it was like, what is going on with me? I was always so known for the lack of injuries. I was always pretty healthy. And then I kind of started getting these little injuries here and there. I'm thinking, what? Like, what is going on? And I remember looking at my mom and saying, something's got to change. I was like, something has got to change. So I was like, this is just a struggle. And that's when I started 2-a-days. That's when I really realized if I really want this, the discipline is going to have to be even more enforced. And I literally lived at the gym. I was either at home or at the gym. So 2012 Olympic trials, we get there, everything's going great, and I'm warming up bars the day of competition, and you know, everything's fine. I'm doing my normal warm-up, getting ready for my first routine, and I do my church. I knew my toes came off too late. I didn't turn over enough. I knew what was going to happen next. And I landed and my elbow hit the mat just right at the right spot. And it was a 4-incher and my arm kind of ricocheted off the bottom mat. And I remember getting up and thinking, okay, this is not right. And I kind of shook it off, obviously. I was like, no, it's okay, I'm fine. And I remember getting to the chalk box and Jordan Weaver's in my group and Jordan's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, it just, you know, kind of took the wind out of me because those mats are super hard. I was like, yeah, it's fine. And I go up to get on the bar again and I grab the bar and I couldn't grab the bar. And I kind of got down and Marvin was like, what's going on? I was like, I can't feel anything in my arm. I was like, everything from my elbow down is tingling. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, when I hit the mat, something wasn't right. And we looked at my elbow and my elbow was huge. I was like, okay. And he's like, okay. Let's take a step back. We're gonna breathe. It's gonna be okay. And we get our trainer over there and you know, Larry Nassar was over there and he was like, oh, let me stretch it. And you know, I would straighten it and it was like, please don't touch it. Right here, it would get to this point and I was like, don't touch it. Because it just hurt. There was excruciating pain just going down my arm. And I'm walking over to beam. And it's not necessarily an embarrassing moment, but it is hard to walk past. You know, you walk past the floor and you're like, I'm going to the training room and I'm probably not gonna come back. I remember calling my parents and saying, you need to come down here. And they came down and we went into a little room. And my dad was like, what's going on? And I was like, I think I'm done. And it was hard. It was one of those moments where you think, what the heck? You're like, what is going on? And I'm, of course, hysterically crying. My mom gets down there, she's crying. She always cries. And Marvin is just, I don't even know if he knew what to think. He just kind of looked at me and was like, this isn't happening. This can't happen. And Marta and Kathy came in there and just sobbing. And I'm like, oh gosh. I was like, hi. And Kathy's just like, no, you're not done. And I was like, I am. I was like, it's one of those things. I was like, my body is just, it was done. You know, my body had taken so much pounding throughout the years. And I was like, I'm just done. And it was the worst moment, I can honestly say, the worst moment of my entire life. It was kind of like, you know, people always say you throw in the towel. I threw in the leotard. I sat there for a very long time. Sat there with my dad, and I was like, what is this? I was like, this isn't fair. And I'm gonna start crying because it was awful. And it really, it was one of those moments where I was like, is this what it feels like to retire? I was like, I'm actually done. And not because I didn't make it, or not because, you know, I wasn't good enough. I was like, my body is literally done. Coming back, I remember I was rooming with Alicia, and she just walked in the door, and I was like, just stop. I was like, do not say anything. I was like, just walk to your bed and sit. And she just sat down. I was like, okay, can we cry now? And we just cried together. And actually, Dr. Bikos was there also because I ripped my foot open again. I ripped my foot open again. So I had, this was at trial. So I had a bum elbow and my toes ripped open again. So I had to get stitches in the hotel room. And of course I'm hysterically crying just because I don't do needles. I don't do that stuff. And Bikos is, you know, sitting in front of me, my foot's propped up. And I'm like, am I gonna make it? He's like, you're gonna be okay. I'm like, no, this is the end. I was like, call my parents. They need to start scheduling my funeral. And he was just like, you need to calm down. I was like, oh, life is coming to an end. I was like, my elite career is over. I have stitches in my foot. I have a bum elbow. I was like, what is there to life? And I remember Dr. Biko said, the Gators. I was like, oh, you're right. I was like, you're so right.
Obviously, for the longest time, only the 4 schools had won. It was a very daunting challenge.
I think in 2012, when they got second, it was bittersweet.
Coming into senior year, each and every single one of us came back fired to go.
And the team was just loaded. Marissa King was an Olympian in 2008, then of course Elena and Mako, and then Ajane and Keitra, who won the all-around the year before.
At NCAA's this past year, it was something.